This is our president of the Board of Governors.
Nice to see you. Okay, good.
They've already gone.
Looks like you got quite a crowd here.
Yes, we do.
You tend to attract a crowd.
No, I think it's probably importance of community college.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me.
Chancellor?
Well,
You wanna just
I
set
don't
the
think
context-
Yeah.
You want to set the context of what you're talking about, what you're concerned,
okay.
where you are in
All right.
in this, just kind of lay it out so we have a framework, and then I'd like to add
Okay.
my own thoughts.
Well, we are extremely pleased that you've come to be here with us. I pointed out to this audience that you had been introduced to the community colleges very early in your career, since you served as on the board of the Los Angeles Community College District prior to becoming Secretary of State. And we have just given a budget report. I think most of us are aware of the very difficult situation that you're placed in. And I will say to your face what I've said privately. I think you've been very candid with the state of California. You've said no more smoke and mirrors. We're going to face up to the reality of this huge budget deficit that we have. And as you promised in your campaign, you said that you wanted to go to a vote of the people if there was an extension of taxes, and you felt that the best way to solve the problem is through both cuts and taxes. And we in the community colleges serve 2.75 million students. We're doing our very best. Clearly, we've had to reduce the number of courses that we offer, not because we choose to, but because we recognize that the resources are limited. And we have emphasized the three things that we're trying to emphasize now are transfer courses, basic skill courses, and career technical courses. And I have appeared before both of the budget subcommittees and indicated a little bit of our thinking on these subjects. We recognize, as I said, no one can exult in having fees increased nor taking cuts, but we understand that along with the other state agencies and all the other things, and that the cuts are going to be painful wherever they are. So, Governor Brown, we are thrilled that you've come our way to share with us your thoughts on the community college, and perhaps also to share with us a little bit about the state of the budget in general, and how we as community colleges, I'll take it one step further, if indeed the tax extension gets on the ballot, how we might be helpful in seeing that that's passed.
Well, thank you. And I do have I want you to elaborate a little more on those second and third. I understood the first, that it's very important to ensure that when a student takes a course at community colleges, that course will be counted when and if he or she wants to go to state college or the university. Are we there yet? Is that done, or is that?
Let me tell you what did happen last year, Governor.
Because remember, they've been working on that for how many years?
Ever since I was in the community
Okay,
college.
so I want to know, can we say it's either done or it'll be done by the end of this year?
It was done in legislation, and we right now are implementing it in committees that are meeting. A committee that is an implementation committee between the California State University and community colleges. Here's exactly what Senate Bill 1440, which was heavily lobbied by both myself and Chancellor Reed. It simply said that every community college will offer a transfer associate degree of no more than 60 units. Then in turn, that at California State University, that will be accepted and they will have junior standings. 60 units will be accepted. They in turn have agreed that they will require no more than an additional 60 units. We think that with the same amount of money, we can educate 55,000 more community college students and 15,000 more California State University. We are looking at the fact that we believe that far too many students have transferred to California State University and ended up that certain credits didn't count at this one or did
And
at
are
that
they going
one.
to count that? Can we be confident of that?
Well, it's in legislation.
I know, but
and
is it done, or are we still working?
We're working on the exact details. The overall thing, we're looking at each discipline. And I have in the audience here Jane Patton, who is the Academic Senate President, and she's working very closely with the Academic Senate President of California State
So
University.
you feel they're, right now, it works?
Right now, it's working, and furthermore, if it doesn't work,
You'll call me.
I'll give you a call.
But now,
You
what
can
about-
count on that.
What about UC? Does this transfer?
Well, we have a little constitutional problem there.
No, but they could be collaborative if they wanted to.
There is a bill that was passed that said they should collaborate on this, and my judgment is that once those students start going to California State University with greater ease, suddenly the University of
Well, do you think we
California.
need to bring the regents in on this to get?
I've talked to Russ Gould, and he's 100% behind it.
But if you want me to get them to act, I mean, we all have talk and process, but I want to say, let's just get it done.
I'd love
So
for
we
you.
should have a meeting of some
That's
key
right.
regents and yourself?
Yeah.
That's right.
Maybe that would help?
That would help.
Why don't we do that?
Good
So
enough.
we'll do it. We'll do
All
it.
right, good.
What are the other two? You had two other things. Skill, you had besides
I talked
transfer,
about,
what are the other two?
Career technical education, vocational education. You know, we offer 175 different programs of
And
career
then what was the
technical.
third?
The third was basic skills, which is another word for remedial education.
And English is the second language?
That's part of it.
Basic skills. Now, where does apprenticeship fit into this?
It
The
fits in
second
a
and third.
career technical education. Apprenticeship, or like, for instance, if you're going to become an electrician,
Yeah.
we
We
work
offer
with the
those.
unions. Yes,
Those
we
are
do.
special courses, right?
Those are special courses, and they're expensive, but we're doing the best we can to offer as many
They
as
are
we can.
expensive?
Oh, yeah, of course,
Yes.
more equipment.
Yeah, that's the trouble with vocational ed, that it does require more equipment
Yeah, that's
than
right.
than
And I'm encouraging the colleges to go out to the business world and get as much equipment as they can donated free.
Well, let me just respond and tell you that we are facing a very serious challenge in the budget. So far, we have the committees that have put forward a budget, but we lack Republican votes to put this matter before the people. And when I say this matter before the people, I mean not just taxes, but I also mean cuts. I believe that in our society and in California at this point in history, that the people should weigh in on whether they would like to extend taxes that they're already paying, or do they want to have an all-cuts budget wherein we double the cuts to the community colleges and all the other areas of state government. I think this would have such a profound impact on schools and colleges and the health and the public safety that I don't think the legislature of itself ought to make this decision at this point in history. I believe we have to check in and seek guidance and validation from the people of California. So this is not just a campaign pledge. This is a commitment to reinvigorate our democratic process. We know politicians are not the most favored people in our society. And if you look to the favorability of the legislature, it lacks something. It's not at 100%. In fact, it's closer in the opposite direction. And therefore, profound disruption and changes to our schools, our colleges, our public safety, our basic safety net. That's something that would be very good, very important, and I think vital to get the people of California to offer their judgment. We are a democratic society. In our own Constitution, it says the legislative power rests with the people themselves. Now, in the ordinary course, the legislature and the governor can handle garden variety decisions. This is not a garden variety decision. This is a game changer. This is a matter of how California will look over the next 10 years. And therefore, a check-in with the voters is very important. That's why I want the electorate to decide. Now, some of the people acting under the influence of Washington lobbyists and others say that to let the people decide is to determine the people's ultimate decision. That is false. What I'm asking people is not to vote for cuts or taxes, but to let the people decide what it is they want. What is the vision of California? And if we can get the support of the people, because I myself will advocate for the tax extensions, building on the cuts, which you here all know are already painful and not so productive in many respects. But they're needed because that's the only money that we have available. But I have to say to my Republican colleagues who I'm talking to, I'm asking you not to tax anybody. I'm asking you to let the people of California decide, do they wish to extend these existing taxes, or do they wish to double the cuts that I've already proposed? That's the simple proposition, and we're not there yet. And some people would say, look, instead of just letting the people decide that, why don't we take all the political ideas over the last 10 years on pensions, on schools, on the way we budget, on civil service, on tort reform. Why don't we take all these battles of the last 10 years, and why don't we renew them in the next week? And after we renew them, then put that on the ballot as well. And my response is, I will consider all these different suggestions, but don't try to load down what is a relatively simple choice, to either extend or to double the cuts. That's what it is. And we're not there yet. This is about as difficult and important decision that I've seen. And I've been here before, and I've been looking at it for over 30 years. And this is important, and I just have to appeal. If you know any Republican, tell him that he or she should vote to give the people a voice. And if those Republicans would like to debate me, and they take the anti-tax side, I will join with them, and I hope some of you will join with me, and we'll have a great debate. But let the people decide, instead of 120 people in Sacramento, or as this case may be, it's 4 people. 2 Republicans in the Senate, 2 Republicans in the Assembly. And we're asking them. And I think they'd like to do it, but they are being threatened with defeat, with career-ending attacks that will be made from lobbyists in Washington, various interest groups right here in California. So they need help, and they need some protection. And I'm hopeful at the end of the day that we will have this great debate and great election for this June, and that Californians will vote to invest in your system of schools and the other aspects of the state budget. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So there we are.
All right.
So you thought you were in trouble before, but we still have some perils to avoid as we go forward.
The president of the board would like to maybe ask a question, and ask if any of the Board of Governors have questions. Are you willing to entertain questions?
Yes. Vice President Perez.
First of all, Governor, thank you for coming to visit us today. It really means a lot to us that you took the time to come and talk with us personally. The other thing is, on a personal level, I truly appreciate your frankness and your openness to saying, I have a plan. If you don't like it, bring some other options along. One question I do have, though, as far as putting the items on the ballot, is it going to be packaged either yes or no, or are you going to break them out to where people can have the option to vote as far as schools, health care, et cetera? Is it going to be one big lump, or is it going to be broken?
We're looking for one vote, which will be a vote to extend the taxes, to apply the money locally to schools, public safety, and that to me, I think that's very appropriate. So the money, this is a plan that has deep cuts, it has tax extensions, and it has realignment. And the realignment is to move government closer to the people, giving counties and school districts more money and more authority to make decisions that have been gradually sucked up to Sacramento, and then inserted in this very dysfunctional complexity called state government. And we want to move more decision-making down to the local level. So it will be one. I mean, I think it has to be one because we could break it into 10 votes. But I think the real decision is, do people want an all-cuts budget, or do they want to extend the taxes, plus the cuts, plus the realignment? And if the Republicans can come up with a few other items, I'll be glad to consider them. But I have to use a little bit of Latin here. There's an old phrase in Latin which is ignota per ignotius. And this means to try to understand the unknown by even the more unknown. So in this case, it's let's solve this problem by creating a bunch of even greater problems. And then with all those problems on the table, we'll solve it. Well, that's not likely. So the point is, solve the problem you have, solve for the unknown that's in front of you before adding a bunch of other unknowns, which are tort reform, tax reform, civil service reform, regulatory reform, budget reform. Those are all worthy items of debate. In fact, they've been debated for the last, not 10 years, probably 20 years. So we can take a piece of it, but we can't take everything, including the kitchen sink, and throw it on the table, and before the end of this week, come up with an answer. So we got to simplify, we got to clarify, and we have to rise above our predilections and our comfort zone.
Yeah. Governor, are there pieces that you're more sympathetic to than others in these discussions?
So whatever will get it done. But
Yeah.
remember, for every push, there is a pull.
Right.
And the reason why we've had phony budgets and why we have increasing debt and we're resorting to borrow instead of pay your bills, and I'm not talking just about California, I'm talking about dozens of other states, I'm talking about Washington under both Democrats and Republicans alike, is because it's difficult and we're divided. What the Republican idea is of these 5 collateral topics is different than what Democrats believe. What Northerners believe about certain things on water may be different than what Southern Californians believe. So we've got to find that common core that unites us. And there's some people who want to divide and just pull the whole thing down. And they think, that maybe that would create some benefit for some group. I think that would be the wrong way to go. We ought to find constructive compromise and agreement. And we haven't found it up to this point, and that's why we don't have honest budgets. And they put smoke and mirrors and pretend revenues are coming when they're not. They make unallocated reductions that really can't be realized. And so each year, the deficit increases and the public loses confidence and belief in the legislative and political process. And when the people of California, when only 16% of the people of California express trust in the legislative process, then that is ominous, because it's saying that the basic mechanism of democracy itself, which is the system of representation, is contemned, is completely disrespected, and that's dangerous. And so that's another reason why I want to go back to the electorate and get a validation, a reinvigoration of the legitimacy of our democratic government. And so this is a very important opportunity here, and I just hope that we can get those few compromises that I think are needed and can be made. But it can't be the kitchen sink. That's not realistic. And as I say, if we don't get those compromises, we don't get the vote, then the people are deprived of their vote, and we'll either get an all-cuts budget or government will be paralyzed. And they'll just sit there like they have in years past until they run out of cash. And then our credit rating goes down, the business climate is negatively affected, and nobody is better off. So that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Member Malumed, followed by Member Barreras, and Governor, if you have time, Member Baca.
Thank you.
I'm very
Can I get a cup of coffee here?
I'm very excited you're here today. Thank you so much. I'm slightly giddy about it. This board is all appointed by the governor, and we're a hardworking board. We work well together, so thank you for coming to see us here. And I just wanted
Whose
to...
terms are expired?
The other one at the end of the table.
Oh, I see. So
Bobby McDonald. Neither.
Well, this is your chance to shine.
Yes, and tomorrow we will be going to the Capitol as part of our advocacy day. So I wanted to let you know we'll be out there advocating also for your wishes.
Good. Where are you from?
I live in Long Beach.
Okay. Where are you from? What's your name?
I'm Bobby McDonald from Orange County, and you and I were together when I was president, the student body president at LA Harbor College when you first came on board at the LA Community College Trustees.
You don't look that old.
Neither do you.
Well, yeah, that was yeah, when I was on the community college board, there were 4 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 1 independent. And the leader of the Republicans said, "We have the votes and you don't, so shut up. You don't get anywhere." I said, "Well, that's not fair." I said, "Well, you don't have the votes." So in some ways, that's the way the Republicans feel. And I would like to rise above all that and show, even if you have the majority, you listen to the minority concerns. Because that's really what democracy is. It's not just exercising the majority in total insensitivity to the minority party and the minority votes. You've got to find accommodation. And that's really the genius of our society, that give and take. And that's what we need now. We just need it very quickly.
Well, Governor, our board is comprised of both parties, and we'd really love to keep it that way. So when those, so when they come before you, we're very hopeful that you're going to
Okay.
approve them for both parties.
Okay.
All right.
Member Barreras.
But then I have all these people that worked in my campaign.
Yeah.
You know, what do I get?
quandary,
What do I get?
Yeah.
So it's a balancing. We have all these different considerations.
But you're going to rise above that.
Well, there's a famous Jesuit, Pierre de Chardin, and he said, everything that rises converges. So if we rise above our predilections and our ideology, we will converge on what's good for California. And that's a very important principle.
I just want to make a comment to let you know, I'm a local trustee down in Fresno, State Center Community College District, and we just passed a resolution to support the tax extensions, and we've asked our other colleges to also pass resolutions on behalf of the
Well, thank you.
CCC. And one of the things that we're doing, our students are taking a very proactive approach. We are having, instead of coming on the March in March that we do here on the 14th, they're doing that in Fresno at the courthouse in support of the tax extensions to let the community know what it means if these budget cuts do occur. So I think it's a great way because they're going to be letting that community know that we do contribute to the economic development of our communities and that our students really need for this tax extension to pass in order for us to continue to function at the level that we do.
And I think it's good to point out that the taxes per $100 in the budget I propose is as low as it was during Ronald Reagan's governorship. Now, a lot of these people across the street want to have a coin with Ronald Reagan's name on it. They want to have buildings. They want to have holidays. Well, this is a chance to vote for a tax structure that is as low as it was during Ronald Reagan's governorship. That's how low it is. So we're not asking for the moon. We're asking for common sense. And that's the point you want to make here. People are saying this is going to hit jobs and all that. That's just silly. There's not a decent economist that would say that. It's just the opposite. Community colleges are important. You know, the private sector is vital. And we have $2 trillion of gross domestic product. That's a lot of money. There's, 8 countries that exceed us. The other 130 are poorer than California. So we have the money. And the public domain, which certainly the community colleges are a very important part of, is a very important piece of our culture, our society, our democracy, particularly when it's about skill acquisition, it's about language, it's about becoming more capable as a citizen and as a productive member of our state. So why would people not want to pay for that? I think they do. And to deprive people of supporting the community colleges in the way that I'm asking makes no sense. And I think if the Republicans think about that, they will, I think some of them will change their mind.
Member Baca.
Governor, thank you for being here this morning. I am one of the two members on this board from the faculty, and I teach political science and some initiatives.
Whereabouts?
Rio Hondo College.
And what kind of
In
political
Whittier.
science do you teach?
The introductory course in international relations.
Because I've gone to the American
But-
Political Science meeting, and they have literally hundreds, maybe thousands of subcommittees on every conceivable aspect of political science.
Well, we just
That's
like
why I
to
wanted
break,
to
we
ask
like
you-
to break it apart as
What?
much as we possibly can. You know, I think for great diversity and great different views.
So you
But-
teach the introductory course.
I teach the introductory course, and one of the frustrations with initiatives is that you often have stuff on there that people can't understand, and to say, well, why are we paying those people up in Sacramento, and why don't we get them to decide these issues? But the initiative that you've put forward is pretty straightforward. I mean, this is something that the people can deal with up and down. They understand it well, and I would hope that we would get some support for putting it on the ballot. So good luck with that, and I think we're all prepared to start working as soon as we get it there.
Well, we've had such stalemate over these last years that I see this as an opportunity. In some ways, that this period in our history should be like the Federalist period, when people debated the nature of what is the American government, and what is the role of the states, what's the role of the national government, and concepts like checks and balances, like the independent judiciary. These were basic ideas that were debated and then finally ratified by the people of the 13 colonies. Well, I believe that we need a great debate in California. What is our state? What are the elements? And what is the role of community colleges? What is the role of the university and health care for the most vulnerable? That's really what's at stake here. This is not just budget. This is about the relationship between public service and private citizenship, and what is the link between those two. And there are some who would eviscerate public service in the belief that the market, in and of itself, can solve all our problems. And the opposite view is not anti-market, but it's the market with appropriate regulatory framework and a vital system of public schools and community colleges and other services that complement and strengthen our democratic and free enterprise system. So we are really dealing with some basic issues. It's not just a game of politics down the street, or just this budget item as a green eye shade exercise. This is about what we are as a people. And there are some who have a very different view than I do. But let's let the people weigh in. What is the majority view? And I believe that if we have this election, I believe they will reconfirm the basic structure of what makes California strong, and we'll be better. And then we can go on to debate in the next few years, as I fill out my term here, we'll deal with issues of regulatory reform and issues of tax reform and water and energy and the criminal justice system. These are all very important ideas, but it'd be difficult to resolve them before next Saturday or something. And that's really what we're talking about.
Member McDonald?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, you're fine. Member Izumi?
Well, Governor, I want to add to my voice to all my colleagues here on the board to thank you for taking the time to come and address us. I mean, it's a great honor. We're very privileged to have you here. I'd actually, written some glowing articles many years ago on your charter schools in Oakland. And so, and complimented you on the reforms that you put in place while you were mayor there. Just wanted to ask you, picking up on the issue you talked about trust and the unfortunate lack of trust amongst the people. The community colleges are known for getting a lot of bang for the buck. And how do you, in terms of the initiative, improve that trust amongst the people for government that in order to, get a favorable outcome?
Through transparency, through an honest debate where each side is respected and the people are invited rather than scorned or ignored or shooed away. And that's really what's at stake here, inviting the people to exercise their sovereign power to decide on the future of our state. And that really is what is at stake. The magnitude of the budget deficit is so large. And by the way, this is not something that just happened because some public employees decided to spend a lot of money. I mean, the truth is this is built up over a long period of time. It has many elements. After Proposition 13, the people enjoyed a 2/3 reduction in property taxes. Well, property taxes are a huge part of government spending. When you cut that by 2/3, you then have to react. And one reaction would be cutting schools and police by an equivalent amount, by 2/3. Well, that never happened. Okay, the state, when I was governor, had a big surplus, almost $6 billion. We bailed people out, and the state bailed out and bailed out. But pretty soon the state didn't have the money. So it had to either do smoke and mirrors, had to borrow, or in some places it raised taxes. And then we went along, and then we had the vehicle license fee. And that started in the 30s, been around a long time, and then that was cut. And that became another big hit. $6-7 billion is what the state's obligation to backfill. And then we get redevelopment. Redevelopment was 2% of the property tax. 2% went into the redevelopment bank, and then they spent this money on economic development. Well, now it's 12%. 12% of local property taxes taken away from what used to go to community colleges, used to go to public schools, used to go to police or the county hospital, things like that. Well, because of all those changes, we now have to realign, and we have to rebalance the books. And so what I'm trying to do on the elimination of redevelopment is let the local property tax go back to community colleges and go back to public schools and the other places where it was historically. Where do we go with the tax extensions? We help make up for the reduction in the vehicle license fee. The $1 billion of R&D tax credit, which is a tax reduction. The other tax reductions that are given to business to stimulate the economy. Well, that only works to a point, and we have to make up for the gap, and that's what we're doing. In years past, the gap was papered over, was obscured. I'm opening the black box of the California budget and laying it out there, and we have a solution. It's balanced, and people of all backgrounds are saying this is the chance to get California in balance. And we can do that for the next 4 years, and then we can consider all the other various challenges that we have in the state, including community colleges, and I'll be here to be a part of that. I'd like to get working on it, and I'd like to get over with those regions and make sure that they treat transfer students in the way that you're getting the state colleges to do that. But we got to get this budget problem solved first.
Other board members? Okay. Governor, on behalf of all of our board, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And being so direct. We'll take you up on the UC offer for sure.
We'll do that.
And
Let's let all the people know. And do you ever study political theory? You know, are you
Try to.
Sheldon Wolin? Do you ever read him? He was my political science teacher. But we need a theory here. This is the theory of governance itself. How does governance work? what's representation? Where do you go back to the people in an appropriate plebiscite? And we find out in Europe, when something like the common market, they go to the people. Well, when something is this wrenching in terms of the $25 billion of cuts in a $90 billion budget, I think that's the time for a plebiscite, for a referendum. What do the people want? And we can all become engaged, and you can get all your students and teachers, and we all get together, and we will reconfirm the important work you're doing. And I think that can happen.
Chancellor, do you want to?
Well, just thank you for
I
coming.
know you wanted me to come over and see you.
I did. And I'm glad you gathered an audience for us to talk together.
Well, we have to, and you can come over and just walk over.
All right. I'll take you up on
deal.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for the coffee.